And one of the things that when I teach, I say, look, make believe that the SD card or the flash card is actually a roll of film. I mean, condition yourself that it's a roll of film. And with all the restrictions that are on that. I mean, it makes no sense to shoot 375 frames of something, and that's ridiculous.
Bunu sadece şey anlamında değil, smartphone'lar yardımıyla halk yani çok herkes fotoğraf çekebilir hale geldi. Bu hani genel anlamda fotoğraf nasıl etkileyecek?
Especially in this generation, lots of people think that yes, I have a smartphone and I can take a photo and I'm like a young photographer. Do you think that's a real process, or how do you influence the photography?
I did a lecture once and was talking, and then finally somebody interrupted me in the middle. I guess he couldn't wait, and he said, "Yeah, but we don't need you anymore. You're finished. You're done, man. I can do it all with this." And he held up his phone. He says, "I can do it all with this. I don't have to go to school." And I looked at him. I said, "Well, yeah, right. You don't have to go to school. You're right, 100%. But let me tell you, you're misleading yourself if you really think that you're going to be considered a photographer by using a phone. We have become a belly button society where we are so focused on I, that iPhone, I us, I this, I that, that we're not even taking the time to understand how it all works. Kicking and screaming, I had a friend give me an iPhone because they said, well, we can't reach you. We can't communicate with you. We can't, you're a little dinky Nokia. We can't, it doesn't really send information and stuff like that. Anyway, I found that what I do with it, I've started to use my iPhone as a sketch pad. I use it to play with. I use it to understand the square. I use it to send to my girlfriend private thoughts, little messages and notes like that. For me, that's effective. If I'm going to go out and do a reportage, photographing somebody that's been blown to bits and they're hanging on to their life, and I have the audacity to pull out an iPhone and take a picture of them, I hope somebody comes and strangles me, because that's bullshit. You have to give people respect. You're standing. I was in a situation in Aleppo, and there was a journalist. He wasn't even a photographer, he was a writer, and he broke out with his iPhone and he's photographing the aftermath of a bombing, and he's running around with his iPhone. And I was with this other photographer, and we were like furious. We were like ready to drop him down a hole. And no joke, we were like, can we get him over to that hole and just push him? Because it was embarrassing. And he's like, and you say, well, what's this for? And he says, oh, I want to have a souvenir. I want to punch him, really punch him. And we really were seriously thinking, I think if we get him on the roof, we could just push him.
I'm so glad with this realistic answer. And I want a question for younger photographers. Do you think young photographers need to get away from the computer and looking at the other influences, other new explanations?
Yeah, well, we're coming a generation of 4 eyes. People are like losing their sight. I was in the Apple store. Someone asked me to pick up a computer. I said, do you have the anti-glare matte finish for the computer? And they said, we don't make that anymore. Well, if you stare at a computer all day long that doesn't have that matte finish, your eyes are going to have a real problem on their hands. And the other thing is, there's a whole world out there. There's trees, there's rivers, there's mountains, there's people, there's life. If you sit in a computer or we do this. We're like, we don't look anymore in people's eyes. We're constantly doing this, and we're sending text messages, and we're like, everything is like, we have to, this moment, we have to tell people what we're thinking and what we're feeling, and we're losing what life is about. Life is about sharing, and we're no longer sharing. We think we're sharing. We have this strange illusion that we're sharing. I am sharing that I'm in this place and I'm sending you my thoughts, but we're not sharing because everyone else around us we're oblivious to them, to the point that we just cut them totally out. If you stare at a screen all day long, I have friends who not only do they work with computers, They make their whole life is around computer, their phones, their iPads, they got all the toys. But not only that, they watch movies with the computers, but not only that, they do games. They play games with the computer. So their whole life is built around the computer. They never seem to go out. You know, if it's like if you want to go on a trip somewhere, if they can't find it in Google or find it in some kind of program, then it doesn't exist. You know, I mean, you're like 2 blocks from some place, and the person says, "Wait a minute, I'm gonna like check it." I mean, why can't we just ask? You know, why can't we have a human conversation?
Var mı soru? Sonraki soru o zaman toparlayalım. Türkiye'nin çevresinde çok fazla çalıştınız ama Türkiye'de de çok fazla çalışma imkanı oldu. Yani Türkiye'de çalışma imkanı oldu mu hiç? Ondan sonra. Türkiye yani Kafkasya'da, Orta Doğu'da çok çalıştım. Yani Türkiye'nin etrafında.
In your working process as a photographer, you work lots of time around Turkey, but did you work Turkey before, or do you think like this project?
Oh, years ago I did a project. I photographed Turkey at night. I mean, I was invited by some group. I don't even know if they exist anymore, but it was years ago, and I did a project. And I went out and photographed Istanbul, not Turkey at night, Istanbul at night. But I don't know where it is. I mean, it was filmed, so it was a long time ago, so I don't know what happened to it. But I did it.
And do you think in the future there will be a new project in Turkey? Are you curious
Only if
about
somebody invites me. I mean, I went to do Atakia 3 times. I did Atakia on 3 different subjects, and you know, it was 2 of the stories were published. 1 of them wasn't. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I reached a point where certain stories take more precedent than others. If somebody says, "Well, we want you to go do a story in Turkey," of course I would do it. But is it on my radar at the moment? I'm trying to do a story about stateless children and about the problem of refugees. I have this idea to cover the 3 borders, you know, Jordan, Lebanon, and Turkey. So, I mean, let's see, you know, everything that I do, I mean, I try to get magazines and newspapers behind it, but they have this idea that you can do it in 3-5 days, and that's not really realistic. So I try to do longer term projects and take the time and really, I call it feeling the air or feeling the dirt, you know, in the air. You know, trying to understand what's going on. I hate to do a story and finish the story and say, but I really didn't know what was going on around me. I really want to, you know, because I'm part of it, you know. Once you commit yourself to a story, it's not just you, it's you become part of it. You come into people's lives, it's a sharing experience.
Son olarak da buradaki dizayn günlerindeki deneyimi hakkında duygularını öğrenelim.
And in this week, you know, this is a special week for us, especially our country, for design weeks. How can you say about that? Do you feel is it a good corporation and this is teach the young photographers something?
I think it's healthy. I mean, we have to help the younger generation or the future. We have to give them the tools, and that doesn't mean hard tools. We have to give them the mental tools as well. We have to give them the language. We have to give them that you're part of something bigger than you, and it's. I mean, for me, being a journalist is one of the greatest jobs in the world. I'm sure a doctor might say the same, or a lawyer, or an Indian chief. But for me, being a journalist is great, and I honestly see it as almost as a religion, you know, and I feel that you have to give it respect. So if you get a group of young individuals and you can teach them the things that are important, like humanity, ethics, you know, that you're part of something bigger than you, that it's not about you, that it's about that you're a messenger, then we're passing on these ideals toward the future, and then journalism will be safe, you know. Because we're at a point now where, for example, in my agency, NOR, which I'm one of the founders with Kadir van Lauhausen, we're talking about ethics because of what happened with the World Press this year, because we're reaching a point where manipulation and photoshopping and doing all this other stuff, we're losing our values. We're accepting it. We're saying, well, it's okay to color it. It's okay to take that out, you know, and that's really dangerous, you know. I kiddingly said to William Daniel, I said, look, you know, it's really funny when you go to Africa, they all got the same uniforms, you know. You really could like say, well, you know, this is, you know, the Congo fighters and this is the Sudanese fighters. They all got the red berets, they all got the green things. I mean, what's the difference, you know? How would you know? And if you're stupid, you wouldn't know at all, you know. So, I mean, there it is, right in front of you, you know. So I think that we're at that point where somebody might say, I really don't feel like going to Sudan, it's too dangerous, but I've got these photos that I did in Uganda where they look like that, pardon, where they look like that. So I'll use these pictures, you know, I'll just flip them. And, you know, you think I'm making a joke, but we do this already. For example, when O.J. Simpson was accused of murder and everything, they made this picture of him where he looks like a convict, you know, a convict. You know, they made him all dark and rough and grubby. But if you see the pictures before that, when he was the star, the football player, the actor, he was all golden, brown and everything. So, I mean, we do this already. We Photoshop fashion. For example, if there's a model that she has something in her teeth, I've been on shoots where they immediately remove it. Well, they do the same thing. I mean, when they're doing a shoot, if they see something wrong in a fashion shoot, they take it out. Well, I'm not sure that we've not gotten to the point that we do the same thing in editorial. If we see something that disturbs us, because we're not there when it goes down.